Donald Trump is desperately searching for a safe space right now. Even though Chuck Schumer's apparent surrender signals that the government shutdown may soon come to an end, Trump's political troubles are far from resolved. His approval ratings are at historic lows, his economic agenda is widely seen as disastrous, and he faced tough questioning from Laura Ingraham on Fox News. In a rare move, she not only challenged the failures of his administration, but also revealed details about a personal dispute between Trump and Melania that's reportedly causing major tension. We'll break down everything that happened, but first, if you enjoy our coverage, please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps support our work. Now, before diving into Laura Ingraham's on-air mention of the Trump-Melania conflict that left him visibly upset, let's start with another topic that has Trump fuming: affordability.
The economy was listed as a top concern. I know you know this, for voters in New Jersey, New York, Virginia. I know you've been all over the affordability issue today and for the last several months. Eggs, gas, dinner costs for Thanksgiving way down. But other things, as you noted, have gone up. Beef, coffee, auto repairs. Is this a voter perception issue of the economy, or is there more that needs to be done by Republicans on Capitol Hill, or done in terms of policy?
More than anything else, it's a con job by the Democrats. They're saying, they just have to say, you know, they put out something, say today costs are up. They feed it to the anchors of ABC, CBS, and NBC, and a lot of other, and, you know, CNN, and et cetera. And it's like a standard. I'll never forget, they had used a word like manufactured. Do you remember the word manufactured? It's a manufactured economy. Nobody uses that word. Every anchor broke the manufactured. They do exactly what they say. It's such a rigged system. So are you ready? Costs are way down. Gasoline is going to be hitting $2 pretty soon, or around $2. Gasoline is at $2.70 now, and it was at $4.50 under Biden, under Sleepy Joe. When gasoline comes down, when energy comes down, and everybody agrees energy's down, we're drilled, you know, drill baby drill. We're going like wild. We produce more gasoline, oil and gas in the last month than we ever have before, by far. And we're going to also end up filling up the national strategic reserves, which were taken out by Biden in order to try and win an election. Didn't work out too well. They tapped in. That's supposed to be for war, for national emergency, not to get...
So are you saying that voters are misperceiving how they feel? Or
so when I took over, you remember?
Because you said Biden did that too, because he was saying things were great, but things weren't great.
It's synonymous, Biden and Kamala. You know, because you didn't know who the hell was campaigning. I mean, it got to a point. So I was up by 20 points on Biden or some crazy number. And they said, all right, let's get him out. We'll put a new one. This never happened to anybody. All of a sudden, I have somebody new. And they had the 6-week honeymoon, you know, which was standard in the world of politics. You get a little honeymoon. And she had her little honeymoon, but then eventually people got to know her, too. And then they had the 60 Minutes catastrophe where they, you know, changed her answer.
Donald Trump built his presidential campaign on countless falsehoods, but one truth he did acknowledge was that many Americans were struggling in an economy that wasn't working for them. Of course, Trump never actually cared about fixing that problem. His policies only deepened it to benefit his wealthy allies. Still, he identified a real issue, one that Kamala Harris also recognized and proposed genuine solutions for. Now, however, Trump has completely reversed his stance. Just a year later, he's claiming that the affordability crisis doesn't even exist. The grocery prices he once railed against, he now insists are going down. A claim that's simply untrue. Even Laura Ingraham, of all people on Fox News, seems to sense the dishonesty. And it doesn't stop with everyday expenses. Americans are also finding it harder to afford health care. Yet Trump's latest proposal might be his most reckless one yet, and this time, he's proudly attaching his name to it.
Obamacare, you raised several times during this shutdown debate that it's clear that this was never going to work without these massive subsidies. Now they wanted to continue the COVID subsidies. So given the fact that Obamacare really can't survive as they thought without these subsidies, What next?
Well, I watched Obama from when this thing came about. As you know, I opposed it very strongly. Unfortunately, we had a couple of negative votes, which should never have happened. But I said it's going to be a disaster, and I was exactly right. The premiums have gone up like rocket ships, and I'm not just talking about recently. I'm talking about for years they've been going up. And he said premiums will go down. Everything will be wonderful. It's horrible health insurance at a very high price. And what I want, and probably what you're alluding to, is the fact that I want, instead of going to the insurance companies, I want the money to go into an account for people where the people buy their own health insurance. It's so good. The insurance will be better. It'll cost less. Everybody's going to be happy. They're going to feel like entrepreneurs. They're actually able to go out and negotiate their own health insurance. And they can use it only for that reason. That's the beauty, only for that purpose. And if we did that, that would be so exciting. Call it Trump care, call it whatever you want to call it, but anything but Obamacare. Obamacare is a disaster, just like he was as a president.
They're actually calling it Trump Care. Let's be very clear about what's going on here. Donald Trump's main problem with Obamacare, the Republican nickname for the Affordable Care Act, isn't about policy details or how the law works. His issue is purely that it carries President Obama's name. That's it. Trump couldn't explain a single substantive objection. He simply can't stand that the credit doesn't go to him. So, in typical fashion, he's throwing a tantrum and trying to soothe his bruised ego with a new vanity project, his ballroom. And, according to Laura Ingram's recent on-air comments, that project has reportedly sparked a heated argument between Trump and Melania.
It'll be a large, beautiful. You know, they had an event the other day. They could hold, with tables, they could hold 79 people. Now, if you have President Xi from China, or if you have some big state event, we have no place to have it. You
Not
know,
just regular people. Just regular people invited.
Obama wouldn't mind this. Mrs. Obama obviously wouldn't mind. They would put a tent on the lawn. It was a low section because that's the only section you have. So it was a low section. If it rained, you were sitting in 6 inches of water. It was a disaster. We're going to have the best ballroom anywhere in the world. And I built a lot of them. You know that. You know a lot of them. This will be one of the greatest ballrooms in the world.
There was a report that Melania didn't love this idea. Is that true?
She loved her little tiny office. But you know what? She's very smart. In about one day, if you would ask her now, she says it's great. But just so you understand, the East Wing.
I don't think anyone had been discussing this before. I certainly haven't seen any reporting on it. And I keep a close eye on all the stories about Melania, or more accurately, her absence from the White House. So hearing Trump brush it off with, yeah, she liked her office, but I don't care. Why would I care? Was both revealing and oddly amusing. First, it shows he truly doesn't care what Melania thinks, and second, it's not like she's ever there anyway. That doesn't mean he should be tearing down the East Wing, but their relationship seems purely transactional at this point, more of an arrangement than a marriage. It's as if she's required to make a set number of appearances, and that's it. Her supposed new initiative about AI sounds like a gimmick. Maybe something like Melania-branded data centers that drive up electricity costs while offering little real value, which fits perfectly with the Trump style of flashy but hollow projects. What really caught me off guard was that I hadn't heard anything about them fighting until Laura Ingraham brought it up on air. And Trump's visibly angry reaction made the moment even more awkward. The interview was already going downhill fast, and things only got worse when it shifted from someone indifferent toward Trump to someone who openly despises him, Representative Jasmine Crockett, along with Trump's not-so-subtle display of racism.
This is a very low IQ person, and I look at somebody that comes from Somalia, where they don't have anything. They don't have police, they don't have military, they don't have anything. All they have is crime. And she comes in and tells us how to run our country. The Constitution says this, the Constitution. The whole thing is crazy. I feel...
Wow, Donald Trump's comments were blatantly racist. But honestly, is anyone surprised at this point? He basically went after Jasmine Crockett, implying she wasn't intelligent and targeting other black individuals in the same breath. It's the same tired pattern, open racism from Trump that no one's shocked by anymore. Laura Ingraham, meanwhile, didn't even flinch. It's as if she saw it as just another day of Fox News programming. You could almost imagine her, in the words of Succession's Shiv Roy describing her father's network, asking Trump to turn up the bigotry dial, and he certainly did. The connection he tried to make was paper thin, and his remarks were pure prejudice on display. Even more absurd was his decision to start talking about IQ points during the same interview, especially given his latest so-called housing plan. It has nothing to do with construction, regulation, or zoning. Instead, Trump claimed he has a quick and easy fix for helping young people buy homes. Take a listen.
Question, though, because your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends, which is this 50-year mortgage idea. So a significant MAGA backlash, calling it a giveaway to the banks and simply prolonging the time it would take for Americans to own a home outright. Is that really a good idea?
It's not even a big deal. I mean, you know, you go from 40 to 50 years, and what it means is 50, you pay something less from 30. That some people had a 40, and then now they have a 50. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor. It might help a little bit. But the problem was that Biden did this. He increased the interest rates, and I have a lousy Fed person who's going to be gone in a few months, fortunately. I have a guy too late, you know, Jerome Powell, we call him too late. He was too late in everything, except when it came to before the, you know, the Democrat, so-called Democrat election, which didn't work. But we're going to get interest rates down. But even with interest rates up, the economy is the strongest it's ever been. You know, you asked me, just to go back to the beginning of your question, you talked about prices. We're down on energy. We're down on interest rate. You know, interest rates are down despite the Fed. Now, if we had a normal person at the Fed, would have really low interest rates, and we will soon have that. We'll have somebody.
Donald Trump famously didn't even take his own SATs, so it's not exactly shocking that he struggles with basic math. But honestly, does he really not understand how compound interest works? If you stretch out the repayment period, that means you're paying interest for a longer time, which in turn means you end up paying more overall. It's simple economics, yet Trump seems completely oblivious to this. Trying to explain it to him would be like trying to teach physics to a fish. It's just not going to land. By extending the timeline, he'd be creating massive generational debt that would weigh down families and destabilize the broader economy. In the end, people would pay far more for their homes, turning ownership into a worse version of lifelong renting. It's baffling that he doesn't grasp this. But then again, it's another reminder that he simply doesn't understand the basics of what he's talking about.
If I figure things out. But it's so... President Xi was willing to do the rare earth thing, that's magnets. Now, nobody knows what a magnet is. If you don't have a magnet, you don't make a car. You don't make a computer. You don't make televisions and radios and all the other things. You don't make anything. It's a 30-year effort to monopolize a very important thing. Now, within 2 years, we'll have magnets, all the magnets we want, but we don't. Because of tariffs, I called. I said, listen, here's the story. You're going to play the magnet. I'm going to play the tariff on you. And
we have to push back against this false narrative about people mooching off the SNAP program. The real problem isn't individuals relying on assistance. It's corporations that refuse to pay workers a living wage, forcing them to depend on federal aid just to feed their families. That's the truth. There aren't tens of millions of people lounging around doing nothing all day. That's a tired, baseless stereotype. The only person sitting around doing nothing is the president himself. Let's be clear about that. If anyone needs a new job, it's him, not the hard-working people using SNAP to survive. We're going to keep calling this out on this show. If you support that message, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you've made it to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.